Uber gaining market power?
Presented by Nicole Brett,
Julia Meisenheimer,
Shuwen Liang,
and Dustin Menshaw.
So what is Uber? Uber was founded in 2009, and it's an American firm that links taxi passengers to drivers through a smartphone app in 67 countries. So what is a monopoly? A monopoly is a firm that is the sole seller of a product without close substitutes. A monopoly firm has market power, the ability to influence the market price of the product it sells. Monopolies arise from the various reasons listed below. Uber uses its low-cost option UberX to gain market power through predatory pricing. Predatory pricing is a pricing strategy where a product or service is set at a very low price, intending to drive competitors out of the market or create barriers to entry for potential new competitors. UberX uses a typical driver with your typical everyday car. Regular taxi cabs are set by local regulators and have fixed rates. Uber does not have these regulations and can offer big discounts. During these discounted times, Uber prices below its variable costs. This is an aggressive tactic to steal market share. If Uber had a larger market share, pricing below its variable costs would have put the company at risk of being charged with predatory pricing by the Antitrust Division of the Department of Justice.
Uber participates in third-degree price discrimination in order to corner the market. Third-degree price discrimination is the practice of dividing consumers into two or more groups with separate demand curves and charging different prices to each group. Conditions for any price discrimination strategy to be successful are that firms must be able to control supply, prevent resale from one buyer to another, and there must be a different price elasticities in the different markets for the product. Uber does a good job at this by having multiple lines of service. The lowest cost option is UberX and the highest being UberLux. This lets them charge different prices for their rides based on the type of Uber the customer is using. The service remains the same, but some customers are willing to pay more for a nicer car.
Uber is destroying the value of taxi medallions. A taxi medallion is a highly regarded badge that gives the owner and the holder the distinct right to operate and drive a taxi, essentially allowing them to run their own business. This is a way for the city to regulate the number of taxis on the road at a given time. This is a once coveted certificate held by many taxi drivers that has been immensely devalued by the rise of Uber due to the ease and lack of regulation required to become an Uber driver. You can see below the price drops that have been incurred, with up to 20% in Boston, as well as the entire medallion auction being scrapped in Philadelphia. Uber is causing the extinction of the taxi medallion due to Uber's aggressive business plan of allowing any individual to become their own taxi driver. For example, in Manhattan there are more Uber drivers than there are taxi drivers, but there are only roughly 3,000 Uber drivers on the road at any given time, but yet they are still demanding a sizable portion of the market.
Based on expense reports from Business Travelers in the first quarter of 2015, Certify says that an average 46% of all total paid car rides were through Uber in major markets across the U.S., up from 15% in the first quarter of 2014. The percentage of rides in taxis, limos, and shuttles fell from 85% to 53% over the same period. So as you can see, Uber's market share is increasing from tactics such as price discrimination and predatory pricing, ultimately raising barriers to entry for other competitors. Based on our findings, here are three alternatives to make sure Uber doesn't gain too much market power. Our main proposal to prevent Uber's monopoly is to increase competition between taxis and Uber by loosening price restrictions on taxi fares. We can also reduce medallion license fees and increase its supply. The other two alternatives are to increase competition within ride-sharing industry and to regulate the ride-sharing industry.